In this lesson, we are going to be looking at mainly how copper is extracted from low-grade ores, which means it contains a very small proportion of copper compounds in the ore. Now, in the previous lessons, we have looked at how copper can be extracted from copper ores, which are high-grade. Now, high-grade copper ores contain a high proportion of copper compounds in the ore. Now, that makes it commercially very profitable to extract ore from such ores. But now, copper ores are running out, and scientists are increasingly developing methods of extracting copper from even wastes from copper mines, which contains a very low proportion of copper ores, which we can call as low grade copper ores. Okay, now this is becoming increasingly popular, mainly because we're running out of this type of high grade ore, and copper demand has not come down, it's actually increasing. We are going to be looking at two main methods of extracting copper from low grade ores, one being phytomining and the second is bioleaching. These are becoming increasingly popular, and this has been developed further to increase its efficiency. Now, if we remember the conventional methods of extracting copper from high-grade copper ores such as copper sulfide and copper carbonate, the way they are extracted is, for example, this copper sulfide is normally it's heated very strongly, and which is known as smelting. We have seen this in previous lessons, where you get copper plus sulfur dioxide. Two problems with this method is that it involves high amount of energy, which means a lot of heat energy is used, which increases the cost. And also another problem to the environment is that it produces this gas. Sulfur dioxide gas is toxic, and also it produces acid rain. Okay, so it's got this environmental issues with it, and acid rain, so it causes acid rain. It involves heat, which means it increases cost, and it's not energy efficient way of extracting copper, but it is still manufactured in this way because it's still profitable to the companies who are using that method. Another way we have looked at is from copper carbonate ores. By simply heating it very strongly, remember thermal decomposition, you get, and in this process it produces copper oxide and carbon dioxide, and then this copper oxide is reacted with carbon to produce copper. So copper oxide heated strongly with copper to give carbon to produce copper and carbon dioxide again. Okay, so this process produces a lot of carbon dioxide. Not only that, if you remember, the copper that is produced in this way is normally not pure, so this copper has to be further purified, which means a lot of electrical energy is needed even after after producing the copper, which is not pure. Okay, so high energy cost and the fact that we are actually running out of high grade ores means that scientists have to develop other methods of extracting copper from low grade ores, because that's what's available now. Okay, let's have a look at why you have to develop, scientists have to develop new methods such as phytomining. This is the main method, phytomining, which involves using of plants to extract copper from low-grade ores, and another main method is bioleaching. This is a summary of why. Mainly, we are running out of high-grade ores. That's the main reason. So we have to resort to other ways of extracting. Extracting copper from high-grade ores involves heating and electrical energy. So heating and electrical energy increases the cost, and it'll only be effective if you got a lot of copper to extract. But these ores don't contain that much copper, so you need to develop other energy efficient methods to extract from low grade ores. You need energy efficient methods, as the amount of copper compounds in these ores are very low. So let's have a look at how phytomining works to extract copper from low grade ore. What you see here is a low grade ore in the form of soil, which contains some amount of copper compounds, but this is in very low quantity. Okay, so what has been done is certain plants are very good in absorbing these copper compounds as they grow. So these plants are grown on this. Sometimes this is even the leftovers of mines, which has been used to take out the high grade ores. So when all the high grade ores been removed, whatever is left in the mine, you can still extract the last small quantities of copper compounds that is still left there. Okay, so stage 1 is growing special plants which can absorb the copper compounds. So grow plants, and these plants absorb the copper compounds from the soil. Okay, so the plants, as they grow, it absorbs all the copper compounds, but so it gets concentrated in the plants now. Next stage is to burn the dry plants, so to get some ash. All that will be left after this is the ash, but the ash will contain a good amount of the copper compound because that's been absorbed from the soil. So now you are left with a heap of ash from the plant burning process. Now this contains copper compounds. Reasonably high amount of copper compound will be present in the ash compared to the soil. As you can imagine, the copper compounds been absorbed by the plant, and you've burnt the plant down to reduce the volume. So the size of this ashes compared to the plants and the soil is very small. So it's much more concentrated in the heap. Next thing is to dissolve this in acids normally. Then you get solutions containing copper compounds. So far, grow the plants on the low grade ore, burn them, and you got the ash heap, dissolve normally in acids to get the solution containing copper compounds. What next? So now we have the solution containing copper compounds. So we have solution containing copper compounds. What we can do is use scrap iron, which means wasted iron, which normally is thrown out and not used. As you know from reactivity series, iron is more reactive than copper, so iron can displace the copper from the solution. So iron takes the place of copper compound in the solution. For example, if it is copper sulfate, you get iron sulfate, and copper is displaced from the solution. As you can see, it sticks on and attaches itself as pure copper metal. So what you see here is the copper metal which is displaced from the solution. Okay, and this is still impure, and that can be further purified by electrolysis. So this is a much more energy efficient way of extracting copper from low grade ores. As you can see, there's no heating involved. The only electricity involved would be to purify this the copper that's made here by displacement with iron. So that is copper sulfate plus iron sulfate plus copper. As you can see, the metal copper has been displaced and that's been taken up by iron. So that is displacement reaction. Another way of extracting from the solution is by electrolysis. As you can see here, these two rods are just carbon electrodes and dipped in a solution containing copper ions. And as you have a solution of copper sulfate, what you also can expect is other ions that such as OH ions and H plus ions. Water produces H plus and OH minus ions. Remember, for C1 AQA exam, you don't need to know all of this, but all you need to have is a general understanding of how the electrolysis works. So in this case, the copper ions, which are here, will move towards the negative electrode as they are positive ions. They move towards the negative electrode as they are attracted, opposite charges attracted to each other, and the copper ion goes to the negative electrode, gets deposited on that electrode, which can be then scraped away or chiseled away and further purified. You don't need to know this, but just out of interest, just to have a full understanding, you may wonder what other ions are moving towards the positive electrode. There are two negative ions, as you can see, so either of these can move to the positive, towards the positive electrode, but in fact the OH negative ion moves to the positive electrode as this is more reactive. So this goes to the positive electrode and becomes oxygen gas. So the gas that is bubbling here and made in the positive electrode is actually oxygen. But for C1 chemistry, all you need to be able to say is copper, being positive ion, moves to the negative electrode. And that is one way of extracting copper from a solution of copper sulfate, which is produced from phytomining. The same method can be used to extract copper from copper solutions produced by bioleaching. So next we can have a look at how bioleaching works. If you think this is too much information, remember all you have to be able to say is how copper is extracted by electrolysis from the solutions of copper ions, and the copper 2 plus ions is produced in the negative electrode as they are opposite in charge. The copper ions are attracted to the negative electrode. That's all. In bioleaching, the low-grade ore normally in heaps or accumulated areas is soaked up in a solution containing special bacteria. It's a special type of bacteria which can use the copper compounds in the low-grade ore for its own survival, and in the survival process it produces solutions like so, and the solutions contain copper compounds. So it actually releases the copper compounds from the soil or from the rocks, from the ores in the solid form, and make them into solution. And this is a huge advantage. From the solution, as you know, it is quite easy to get the copper metal either by electrolysis or by the displacement with scrap iron, as you've seen before. Another thing that you should be able to say is that these solutions are called leachates. Okay, so these leachate solutions are high in they contain copper compounds which are produced by the bacteria which thrive in this low-grade ore. Okay, now let's have a look at what exactly you need to remember for the exams, and this is a summary of what you should be able to say. Over here you got the low-grade ore. There are two ways of extracting copper from low-grade ores. One is phytomining. So let's go down phytomining. Plants are grown on the low-grade ores which absorbs copper compounds into the plants. And then the plants are harvested, dried and burnt. Ash is produced dissolve the ash to make solutions that contain copper ions, and then from the solution you can extract copper by electrolysis or by displacement with scrap iron. Okay, as you have seen so far. And now look at the other technique to get the copper from low-grade ore, bioleaching, which uses bacteria. Bacteria is grown on the low-grade ore, which produces a leachate solution, the solution that is produced by the bacteria, and that contains the metal ion. So in this case it's copper ions. Then it's the same process as before, electrolysis or displacement by scrap iron to produce copper. Let's have a look at the advantages of phytomining and biomining using bacteria over the conventional mining methods. Conventional mining methods can also be is sometimes referred to as open cast mining, which leaves huge dug up area like this. Is an eyesore and it spoils the landscape. And whereas in the bioleaching and the phytomining methods, what you have is you don't have that problem. It does not spoil the landscape, where it actually improves the land by removing all the waste metal that is still present. It's more energy efficient, as not quite a lot of heat energy and electricity is used in this method compared to the conventional open cast mining and then the smelting methods. So it's much more energy efficient, this process is, and it causes less polluting gases. For instance, the open cast mining and smelting in particular produces sulfur dioxide, and the other method produces carbon dioxide. We are talking about in particular about copper extraction. So these methods are much better than the conventional means. You can also add it gives a way of extracting copper from even low-grade ores. That goes without saying.